Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast, our Friday show. I am Ryan Wormeli, joined as I will be every Friday and have been for the last few years by Pat Fitzmaurice and Derek Brown. Fellas, this is our key questions episode. I know from talking to you guys that it is one of your favorite shows to do every week. It is my favorite show to do every week. We just basically highlight one or two questions for every single matchup on the slate and have a conversation about what we expect this game to look like, players that we are interested in, all that good stuff. It's a casual show. It is a fun show. It is a question-forward show. We did sort of a season preview version of the show earlier over the holiday weekend. This will be what the weekly Friday show looks like for anybody who is here with us for the first time in season. D-Bro, how are you feeling here?
I feel a lot better than I was 2 days ago, man. The primer for week one is out. I feel like, man, every single week, that's like the thing on my back that I'm carrying. And once I get that out into the ether and it's live, and then I move on to different types of content for the rest of the week, it's like, whew, I feel like I can breathe again, boys. I feel like I can breathe.
Fitz, we are taping this a day early. This has become our annual tradition because you have a draft that takes place after the Thursday night opener. So you'll be out of town on Friday morning. Typically, just so everybody knows for housekeeping, we will be recording this on Friday mornings. For this week only, week one, because of Fitz's schedule, and again, this has been the case the last couple of years, so we're happy to do it. We are taping this before Thursday, so we're not going to touch on the Thursday game because this isn't coming out till Friday, but if some big piece of news happened, we probably could, frankly, just pretend we watch the game. Eagles win by $1 billion. I expect that to be, the way it's going to go. But in case there's a huge upset by the Cowboys or some crazy injury or any other piece of news, normally on the Friday show, we will be able to react to some of that Thursday game news and information and twists and turns. We will not be doing that this week because that game hasn't happened yet. So just letting everybody know that. But Fitz, are you excited for this kind of final draft you always have every year?
Yeah, I am. And just to answer any questions people might have on their mind. So we start in week 2 after the first week. We have a cooling off period. It's like buying a handgun. You can't use it in anger right away. You draft your team and then you have to wait a week before you can unleash it on other people. So
one more thing that I want to hit on before we dive in. You guys saw me. I put on this Georgia Tech sweatshirt before we started recording. I promised my uncle I would wear this. He was in town over the Labor Day weekend. He and my cousin came in. My uncle went to Georgia Tech. They were in town for the Colorado-Georgia Tech game. Georgia Tech won. It was actually an awesome game. We put a little money down on it, so I was very happy about that. On Tech to win by exactly 7, and they won by exactly 7, so that was pretty lucrative for us. And I promised that I would wear this sweatshirt on the show if that happened. So here I am, Uncle Greg, for you. Georgia Tech, go Yellow Jackets. They beat Colorado, and
I love it.
Hope they have a good rest of the year. Yeah, I
love it.
I don't really have a strong opinion on Georgia Tech, but I guess actually now that they won me some money, I will be rooting for them. They will be my team of the year besides Maryland, who stinks. So
Georgia, not to jump the gun. Can we get a bet like if the Bills beat the Ravens this week, you can wear some Bills gear?
No, absolutely not.
We can't get that to happen. No. Okay,
because I expect that to happen.
Do not mess with the Yellow Jackets on week 1 of the college football season. They knocked off Florida State overseas last year in the opener, and this year go into Boulder and beat Colorado.
That's exactly
watch out for the Yellow Jackets.
That's exactly what my uncle was saying. We were talking about it before the game, how because I was like, hey, who do you think's going to win? We should put some money on this. We're here in Colorado. We can bet. And he was like, well, they usually get a pretty big upset early in the season. Their coach, Key, I think is his name, gets them ready to go early. They got a good quarterback. He rushed for 3 touchdowns in that one. King is his last name. So, it was a really fun game to go out. Boulder is just like a beautiful city. It's a beautiful stadium. If you ever have a chance to go, I can't recommend it enough. Night games, super fun there. So had a great time. Go Jackets. Let's dive into the actual show. By the way, a quick reminder, all of our 2025 consensus rankings and tiers each and every week of the season can be found at fantasypros.com/rankings. We have a Friday night game, guys. Second year in a row that we've had this, kind of coming right off the opener. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I expected to like it. And even though the game was really sloppy last year, like the field conditions were really iffy, I'm really excited to have this game because you get that Thursday opener. You don't want to wait whatever it is, 60 hours until you get more football. You want another one right away. So I really like that they have this Friday game now. And this year's is a good one. It's Chiefs-Chargers. My key question for you guys, and Deeper, I'll start with you. In the week 1 expert consensus rankings, and by the way, whenever I reference the rankings, unless I specifically say otherwise, this is going to be half PPR that we're talking about. But in the week 1 expert consensus rankings, Omarion Hampton is RB 18. Xavier Worthy is wide receiver 18. So if you could only start one in your flex spot, who would it be? Hampton as running back 18 or Worthy as receiver 18?
Man, it's going to be Hampton. I think this is just leaning on the volume. Although we did see it grace the news wire that Najee Harris is supposed to start this game. That's probably just a veteran ceremonial start. Like maybe he gets the first drive or maybe he gets the first few snaps and stuff like that. But I think this is just a volume play. Like both of these guys have pretty rough matchups. So for me, it's going to be Hampton just leaning on the volume and the touchdown equity he probably has in this offense.
What do you think, Fitz? I find myself I've been a little worried about Hampton for most of the summer relative to where he's been ranked because I am nervous that he is not going to get the volume that we anticipate. Worthy obviously has this runway with Rice not playing. So how do you see it, Hampton versus Worthy?
Yeah, one of the things I've really missed during the long NFL offseason is Twitter during a standalone game. Like we all know that even on a slow day, Twitter is like a Wild West saloon. It's loud, it's rowdy. Stick around long enough and you'll see someone get thrown through a plate glass window. Twitter during a standalone game is like Wild West saloon times 10. Like the hot takes are flying. There's some really good comedic takes. There are also a lot of really bad takes. And there's just so much anger about everything. The vitriol levels are just through the roof. And now just imagine the level of anger on Twitter if Najee Harris gets nearly as many touches or as many touches as Omarion Hampton. Like people are going to lose their freaking minds. And I could totally see this being much more of a 50-50 split in week 1 than anyone in the fantasy community wants it to be. And I don't know about the start thing. I know Greg Branos of Coach Speak Index, a really good Twitter account, he sort of batted away that initial report and said, no, Jim Harbaugh's never said anything of the sort. So I don't know if Harris actually starts, but I do think Harris might play more than we expect. So the other thing is that the Chiefs gave up the fewest fantasy points and the third fewest rushing yards to running backs last year. Like Steve Spagnuolo's defense has always been murder against the run. And as for Worthy, no Rashee Rice for the Chiefs. He's suspended. And with Rice hurt last season, Worthy had 50 catches over Kansas City's final 8 games if you include the playoffs. So that's like better than 100 catch pace. With no Rice, I think we can expect a busy night for Worthy.
Debra, you kind of focused your analysis on the Hampton side. What do you think about Worthy in a vacuum in this game?
I mean, I'm more worried about, I think the volume will be there for him, but I'm worried about what he's going to do as far as actual efficiency. Only in that breakout time frame that Fitzy talked about, so week 17 or 13 through 17, when he faced too high coverage, which is he's going to get a ton of that this week. Like the Chargers ran at the 3rd highest rate last year. Worthy had only in that Rashee Rice role, he had only an 18% target per route run rate against too high. He only produced 1.0 yards per route run and 0.016 first downs per route run, which is basement level. So I have a lot of concerns about Worthy, although like I see the volume point that Fitzy makes.
That game is on Peacock, right? Am I remembering that correctly? The Friday night game?
No clue.
I can't remember what it was. Or that might be a YouTube game. Sorry, I forgot to write that down. But
I think it is. I think that is or YouTube or Netflix. One of those. Yeah.
I don't think it's Netflix, but I could be wrong. At any rate, that's at a different place.
Too many streaming services. We shall see. I'll have to find it
don't even talk to me about like watching games. I mean, this like commercial stuff on Red Zone, I actually think is like,
oh, dude, total can of worms. I can't. But we will be here for that will consume the next hour.
A can
if we
of what,
get to that.
by the way? Can of worms.
Yeah.
Pun
intended.
I do think Pat McAfee might be the dumbest thing he's ever said. That people aren't going to care about commercials. What? Like, it might be the only thing they care about.
That's towing the company line. That's what that's called.
Yeah, of course, but it still makes them look dumb. Well, let's get into the Red Zone slate here Sunday early on. First game that we'll talk about, Buccaneers at Falcons. Emeka Egbuka was one of the biggest draft risers during August, really during draft season. Do we expect a hot start right away, right off the bat in week 1, first career game for this rookie Fitz?
I think so. And Egbuka and Mike Evans should both see a lot of targets. And if Egbuka is mostly playing from the slot, he should have a pretty favorable matchup. It looks like the Falcons slot corner is going to be Billy Bowman Jr., 4th-round rookie who played safety at Oklahoma. Bowman's a good football player, but that is a matchup I would expect Egbuka to win.
D-Bro, I messaged you yesterday when putting together this sheet, and I was like, hey, is this a typo? Do you really have Emeka Egbuka as wide receiver 61 in your week 1 rankings? It turned out I was looking at a not updated version of the rankings. I was looking at them from like May. So that was my bad in asking you that, because obviously that would have been, I was going to ask you that question, like, what am I missing here? Why do you hate him? Instead, it's the reverse. You're actually above consensus on Egbuka.
Yeah, right now in my most recent set of rankings, I've got Egbuka at wide receiver 19. I'm extremely high on him. Chris Godwin's not going to play in this game. Mike Evans, this is not a great coverage shell matchup for him, although I do think he's going to get his volume. But Cade Otton is banged up. Like, Jalen McMillan is not playing. We know Sterling Shepard's not going to command a high target share. It is going to be all Mike Evans and Egbuka. I think Egbuka probably leads his team in targets out the gate this week, because the matchup, Fitzy, I mean, dude, hitting all the proper points here. Like, I'm not worried about Billy Bowman Jr., about him. Like, his final collegiate season, he allowed a 68% catch rate and a 125 passer rating in slot coverage. Yeah. Now they're expecting this dude, like, to just go cover Egbuka week 1, which, I mean, just if you want to just talk about rookie corners in general, not a converted safety asked to play nickel now. You want to talk about rookie corners in general? Rookie corners don't usually start out with like Sauce Gardner, like Joey Porter Jr., just studs out the gate. They usually struggle, find their feet, and if they're good, most of them you'll see the back half of the season, that's where they really kind of get their legs underneath them. So Egbuka in week 1, wheels up, dude. Like, he should be ranked as a wide receiver 2. I think he's going to get a ton of freaking targets. Atlanta's going to run a lot of too high coverage, probably at least like 51 to 55% of their defensive snaps. All of this leans in Egbuka's direction.
Bro, do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, do you think Egbuka gets more of the slot snaps than Shepard, or do you think Egbuka might spend a lot of time playing Z in this game?
No, I think they're going to put Shepard out there as like a sacrificial perimeter wide receiver. I think Egbuka's going to spend 60% plus in the slot, maybe higher, just depends.
Gotcha. I was gonna ask you, D-Bro, do you think that Egbuka, like, is this a matchup specific aggressive ranking, or do you anticipate ranking him around that wide receiver 20 range, really like multiple weeks kind of right off the bat here?
I mean, where would we be ranking Chris Godwin if he was fully healthy? We would be ranking him in this offense. And I'm not going to like make the exact 1-to-1 comparison, but I mean, he's going to play a very similar role. He's going to be the counterpart to like Mike Evans is going to crush single high coverage. He's good versus too high, but not as good. Like, I think the targets are going to go in that direction. I mean, what's to stop him right now from being, and we saw other stuff, like a video surfaced yesterday of Chris Godwin walking and stuff. He doesn't look great. I don't even know when we see Chris Godwin this year. Like, I know he's not on the IR and stuff like that, but that doesn't mean that we're going to see him suit up in week 3. And if we do, at what point do we see, like, not even a fully healthy Chris Godwin, like 75 to 80% Chris Godwin? Like, Egbuka should be, like, it's a narrow target tree, guys. Like, he should probably be a wide receiver 2 in weekly ranks.
We are extremely excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Everybody knows and loves the Hard Rock hotels and casinos, and now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place your bets all NFL season and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you are in New Jersey. From here on out, you'll start to see us use Hard Rock Bet lines when we're talking about the games. So as we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet, make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. By the way, guys, I just saw a tweet here from a couple of minutes ago that per Rich Eisen, Jim Harbaugh said that Hampton will actually start over Najee on Friday night. So,
and that's the way it should be. Like, come on. So
yeah, that's definitely what we all want to see. For sure. All right, let's get to our next game here. Bengals at Browns. key question here. Debro, starting with you. The Bengals always start off slow, but this year they actually did play their starters a bit in the preseason, which they hadn't done before. So do you think that will be enough to help them play better this year in week 1 against a terrible Browns team?
I think it's the aim. I don't know if we're going to see it, but I think it's the aim. I mean, you don't run Joe Burrow and company and starters and Jamar Chase for like 2 to 3 drives in the freaking preseason if that's not what you're trying to accomplish. But to your point, Worm, this is the avenue. If you want to get off to a hot start, this is the team like you'd want to see first on your schedule. Like the Browns are not anything that I'm worried about. A lot of single high coverage, which leads to big day for Jamar Chase as long as he's probably not going to see Denzel Ward a ton. They're going to move him around the formation. They've been doing that more and more. T. Higgins is good versus single high. You're not worried about the pass rush outside of Myles Garrett. So as long as they can give Joe Burrow like decently clean pockets, which again, you're not worried about anybody outside of Garrett and outside of Ward in the coverage structure. So yeah, I think the Bengals get off to a really strong start. I already bet the spread for the Bengals to cover.
For as much as you say this is a great matchup to go against, we said the same thing last year about the Patriots, and they lost that game.
That's
fair. Fitz, what do you make of this? When we talked a little bit about it.
Do you think the Bengals, before we get to do you think the Bengals cut? Like speaking of Hard Rock Bet, that line is -4.5. You don't think the Bengals can cover that?
Oh, that moved. That was we taped a show earlier today on Thursday, and it was -5.
4.5 -4. It's 4.5 -110 right now.
I mean,
Give
listen,
me that action. I'm actually going to bet it.
Obviously, they can pass. I mean, Joe Flacco has a lot of experience in this division, right? Like he's faced the Bengals a bunch. The Bengals defense is terrible. Like there's a lot of things that you could, if you want to build a case for an upset, and just their history, like I mentioned. Fitz, how do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. I do think the point of playing the starters more was to avoid the slow start, because that 16-10 loss to the Patriots in week 1 last season was catastrophic for the Bengals. Like it was the beginning of a 4-8 start, and by the time they got their act together and won 5 straight at the end of the season, too late. So yeah, I mean, like that's why we were subjected to seeing Joe Burrow getting ragdolled by the Washington Commanders pass rush, and why we were terrified, like, get Joe Burrow out of there. But yeah, I mean, the question is whether the offensive line and defense for the Bengals are going to be good enough. We'll see. Like seemingly soft matchup to start the season, but they have to go to Cleveland and hear it from the dog pound. Not an easy thing to do. A divisional game on the road against a hostile crowd. We'll see. Like I think 4.5 is a pretty good line.
The other thing I'll say too, can we honestly say like arguably this is the healthiest offseason that Joe Burrow's had?
Yes.
So, camp and what have you, preseason, all the things, like they're kind of lining up here for me.
D-Bro, obviously, like we know everybody we're starting in the Bengals. It's Joe Burrow, it's Jamar Chase, it's T. Higgins, and it's Chase Brown, and you're pretty much not messing with anybody else. So they're going to be really easy on the show literally every week. We're going to know what we're doing with them. The Brown side, I'm curious, is Dylan Sampson somebody you're starting in week 1?
No. I mean, you have to be like in a 14-teamer to consider him as a flex. Like it comes down to like there's so many parts, like, and if people were reading the primer, there's so many players like where you get deeper down the depth charts of guys like wide receiver 3s where it's like I don't know what their snap share, or running backs where like I don't know what their snap shares look like this week, like where you can't confidently plug them in any lineup.
Game number 4, Dolphins at Colts. Fitz, who are the pass catchers worth starting for Indianapolis now that Daniel Jones is officially the quarterback?
Tyler Warren. That's it.
I thought he froze for a second.
Yeah. It wouldn't be unheard of for Fitz's internet to go out, so I did have the same thought. But no, he's making a point here that it's only Tyler. Where is Warren ranked amongst tight ends for you, Fitz?
Tight end 9.
9. Okay, so it's at the top
kind
10.
of wait and see a little bit, but I'm excited about him. He played pretty much every snap with the starters in the preseason, and all reports were great. And this was a guy who is just, I mean, he is a demon after the catch, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. But I think he's going to totally gut the value of Josh Downs for fantasy. Like those short area targets are like, he is a big problem for Josh Downs' target volume. I think he's going to hurt Michael Pittman less, but I still don't really want to play Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there is a second, I was going to assume it might have been Pittman. D-Bro, any interest in Pittman or Downs if you disagree with Fitz?
I think it's Downs and Warren for me. I do have concerns about Pittman just being a stylistic fit with Daniel Jones. Like, talking about archetype of wide receiver and stuff like that, Daniel Jones is not throwing into tight windows. He's not throwing back shoulder balls. Like, it's got to be like easy separation, scheme stuff, like make it easy for him. And I think that's where Downs and both Tyler Warren both make a ton of sense. And I think both these guys, I'd feel fine flexing. I mean, like, starting Tyler Warren, I'm with Fitzy. I've got him at tight end 9. So as a TE1, Miami was horrible against tight ends last year, 12th most receiving yards and fantasy points per game. You're also talking about, like, to Fitzy's point, Demon after the catch. That defense allowed the 10th most missed tackles last year. So Warren, it's like, just give him layup targets and let him just go bully dudes. But to the point about Downs, a lot of too high coverage he's probably going to see. Against too high last year, Downs had a 32% target per route run rate. Their nickel corner, again, a lot of defenses this year for various NFL teams trusting a lot of converted safeties to play nickel out the gate here in week 1. Like, Miami's going to start Jason Marshall Jr., which in his final collegiate season gave up a 119 passer rating and coverage. So I think Downs and Warren are both good starts.
Downs had a 32% target per route run rate when he was playing with Will Mallory and Mo Alley Cox, not with Tyler Warren, D-Bro.
I mean, yeah, well, Pittman's not getting a lot of targets. They got to go somewhere. Warren ain't getting 15 a week.
We obviously have a full slate to get through, so I don't want to go long in this, but I do want to sneak in just a very quick question on the Dolphins side that I didn't prepare you guys for. I feel like the vibes have been really bad in terms of just the way people have been talking about Miami all summer. I've heard a lot of like national, like not fantasy shows, but NFL shows talking about them as like a dark horse to have the worst record in football this year. But it feels like at the beginning of the season, at least, they're generally healthy, at least healthier than they'll be later in the season. Are we maybe overrating the bad vibes in Miami? And like, this is a team that usually does play very well when the weather is warm and, they can take advantage of their speed. So like, is it possible that they actually do provide a lot of fantasy production fits early in the year and in this matchup?
I mean, fantasy production, maybe. But as far as like the bad vibes, like, I bet on football for fun and do it with, pretty modest amounts of money. And, I bet under 8.5 wins for the Dolphins and minus 130 that is one of the more uncomfortable amounts of money I've ever bet in my life. Like, that's how certain I feel about that. So, I think they're going to be pretty bad this year.
D-Bro?
Bad vibes are real, man. Like, this team could be a total dumpster fire. Like, I'm worried about, like, just the wheels coming off. Like, if this is a team where we're at, like, week 7, week 8, and Mike McDaniel's been fired because the team is off to a horrible start, Tyreek is up to his same stuff. Heck, maybe he pulls off a jersey and goes full AB. We still feeling good about that team now in fantasy for the rest of the season? Probably not.
If you're ready for some football, you can upgrade your NFL wardrobe with Chubbies. They've got a whole NFL collection, so of course I had to get myself a Ravens shirt, which I'm not wearing today because of the Georgia Tech sweater, but I did wear it in a previous show. It looks awesome. And I got to tell you, beyond just looking awesome, it is very comfortable. Of course, it does remain to be seen how much good luck it will bring the Ravens when I wear it. Maybe I'll have to try it out Sunday night against the Bills. Chubbies has bold designs for all their officially licensed NFL gear, so no matter who your favorite team is, you can make a statement with Chubbies. I've only worn their polos, but they also have gym shorts and even swim trunks too, because when you're invested in the game, your outfit should be too. For a limited time, use our exclusive code FANTASYPROS for $10 off at chubbiesshorts.com/fantasypros. Yes, that includes the NFL collection. Let the thighs out and let the good times roll. Chubbies is the ultimate football apparel brand, so much so they created their own fantasy football league. George Kittle, Ian Rappaport, and others have come together to assemble the Chubbies League on NFL Fantasy. Each week, the top 5 scorers win a chance at Chubbies polo and shorts combo with their team's logo. The grand champion gets the chance at the ultimate fan experience, a 5-city, 5-stadium NFL game tour with a +1. While the fantasy flop faces a hilarious and unforgettable punishment only Chubbies could pull off, head to chubbiesshorts.com/thechubbiesleague to learn more and have some fun. Get ready for the most outrageous fantasy football season of your life. And would you look at that, folks? For a limited time, our friends at Chubbies are giving our listeners $10 with the promo code FANTASYPROS at chubbiesshorts.com/fantasypros. That's $10 off your order with the promo code FANTASYPROS, and that includes the NFL collection. Support our show and tell them we sent you. Express yourself and level up your game day wardrobe with Chubbies. All right, question 5 here. Panthers at Jaguars. how many targets are Tetairoa, McMillan, and Travis Hunter getting in this matchup, respectively? And I use the two of them because I think they're very interesting on two ends, possibly, of the spectrum. Tetairoa, McMillan, very wide open path. I'm curious how high you think that number could go. And Travis Hunter, we just don't know yet for sure. We have guesses, but we don't know until we actually see it. So, Fitz, I'll start with you. How many targets are McMillan and Hunter getting, respectively?
I'll go big for Tetairoa, McMillan, 10 or more. No Adam Thielen. He was traded away. Jalen Coker hurt. Xavier Legette, objectively bad last year, 1.19 yards per route run. I think McMillan is just going to be a target hog early this year. Hunter, tougher call. I'll say 6 or 7 is kind of the median guess.
D-Bro, I'm assuming your target for Tetairoa McMillan is going to be really low now that I have him ranked higher than you in our season-long
I saw
draft
that.
rankings.
I saw getting tagged in that post last night.
I saw no
I
response from you. You're scared to compete here about Tetairoa McMillan.
I was too busy prepping for this show, sir. Priorities. But, dude, tell me if I'm wrong on this. What's to stop Tetairoa McMillan from coming out and having a Puka Nacua week 1 where he gets 15 targets? Like, no Jalen Coker, Xavier Legette, like, he is who he is at this point in his career. Maybe there's more this year, more meat on the bone, but, like, JT Sanders, he's going to be splitting routes with Tommy Tremble. Hunter Renfrow, is he really going to draw a ton of targets? Like, Tetairoa McMillan could get 12 to 15 targets in this game, and nobody should be surprised about it. Like, the matchup is fantastic. I'm not worried about Jarrian Jones. I'm not worried about Tyson Campbell on the outside. I'm not worried about a secondary that gave up the 4th highest PPR points per target to perimeter wide receivers. So Tet wheels up, double digit, lock it in. I think he can get as high as 15 in this game. And for Travis Hunter, I'll go with Fitzy here. I think somewhere in that 6 to 8 bucket, just because of I do think he's going to be a full-time wide receiver. But the matchup, I don't think is as great as everybody thinks on paper. Chow Smith-Wade is taking over as their slot corner this year. That dude was really good in the limited sample that we got last year. 2nd lowest passer rating, 14th lowest yards per snap amongst 42 qualifying slot corners. So Hunter, I think, will get a decent amount of volume, but it's not like one of those situations where he's going to get anything close to Tetairoa McMillan.
Maybe sneaky like shootout potential in this game, honestly, just given the defenses and what I
Slop
expect out of
fest.
the offenses. And like, so we could get a ton of targets for both these guys, but McMillan especially, like that's the reason I have him as a top 12 receiver in my season-long rankings is because like this is going to be the case every week, right? Like until somebody else steps up or Coker gets healthy and takes a step forward, like he is going to get as many targets as he can handle. And I am a believer enough in the talent that he can handle them. So I just don't see any reason why, like the defense is bad. So they're going to have to throw a ton. We've talked before all summer how I'm a believer that what we saw in the second half from Bryce Young was real enough for him to support a guy like McMillan. So I'm really, really bullish on him this year. And I'm bullish on him right away in week 1. So where do you actually have him ranked, by the way, McMillan, D-Bro?
I was going to ask you guys. I have a wide receiver 14, which might sound crazy. Fitzy, where are you at?
16.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. I'm not insane then.
Nope.
I was putting up rankings, and I was like, I keep moving him up. I'm like, I might be getting close to insanity territory, but it's really nice to hear Fitzy has in top 17 too. Love it.
For draft rankings and week 1 rankings, wide receiver 16.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right, let's go to game number 6, Raiders at Patriots. I want to ask you guys about kind of comparing two guys at different positions. Who has a higher positional finish in week 1? Ashton Jeanty at running back or Drake Maye at quarterback? So Jeanty obviously was going higher in drafts among his position, but it's harder to finish higher at running back because there's just, more options available. Quarterback, there are fewer names to be going against. So I thought it was an interesting kind of head-to-head. They're roughly ranked in similar ranges amongst their positions for week 1 specifically in the expert consensus rankings, which, by the way, if I ever reference those, we are talking half PPR for those. I forget if I said that already, but in half PPR on the Jeanty side. So Drake Maye at quarterback, Ashton Jeanty at running back. D-Bro, who finishes higher?
I don't want to steal Fitzy's thunder, but I think it's definitely going to be Drake Maye this week.
Okay.
I think the Patriots are going to absolutely eviscerate the Raiders this week. I bet the over on their total of their points. I bet the over on Drake Maye passing touchdowns at 1.5. I got plus money on that. The only thing that could crush Drake Maye is if the game script goes sideways. Like they get a defensive touchdown, they run 2 in. He's not part of that, but I think Drake Maye could absolutely crush this week. Like, dude, the Raiders have nobody on defense outside of Max Crosby. Like, Eric Stokes, sorry, Fitzy, former Packer, not worried about him. Caillou Kelly, not worried about him. The Raiders, again, like, outside of Max Crosby, who are you worried about, dude? Like, they had the 12th lowest pressure rate last year. That's going to get worse this year. Their secondary last year gave up the 14th most passing yards, the 5th most passing touchdowns last year. Can we also say those numbers are going to be worse this year? And this isn't me hating on Jeanty. I think he's going to get a ton of volume. He might get checkdowns for days and make me look stupid on this call if game script goes sideways. But this... I think the Patriots are going to put up a ton of points out of week 1, and everybody's going to be talking about them after this game.
Well, let me ask you this then as sort of a second question here. Which rookie running back do you like better in this game? If you think the Patriots are going to smash, would you rather play Henderson than Jeanty too?
No, I mean, I'm playing Jeanty for the volume. I'm not getting that cute with it, but I am going to be ranking wherever consensus is on Travion Henderson. I'm ranking him and Mondre above consensus because I think... both of them might get in the end zone, even on a limited touch volume. Like, dude, like, go look at their depth chart. Their defensive line is terrible outside of Crosby. Like, Hendo might pop like 2 huge runs in this game, and nobody should be shocked.
Fitz, what do you think? Jeanty at running back or Maye at quarterback?
Jeremy Chinn's a pretty good defender for the Raiders, D-Bro.
Oh, good. They got two. They got two, Fitzy. Cool. 2.
Yeah, I mean, like... So for what it's worth, Matt Peralt, our primary betting pros host, he is a Patriots fan and he likes the Raiders in that game, D-Bro.
Oh, that's a self-hating Patriots fan.
It could be. It could be.
That's all that is.
So I have as much as I like Maye, I have Jeanty ranked RB6 and Maye QB10 this week. So I have to say Jeanty. I think the Raiders are going to work Jeanty hard against a New England defense that was pretty bad against the run last year. Like, the Patriots gave up the 3rd most rushing yards to running backs. We know Raiders offensive coordinator Chip Kelly likes to push pace. And if Jeanty gets into a rhythm, like, he could have a big day. This dude is special. I forget which show it was on. Like, if there is a Mount Rushmore for running back prospects of the last 10 years, Jeanty is on it, along with Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and Ezekiel Elliott. Apologies to Jahmyr Gibbs.
No, I agree.
Let Autopilot manage your fantasy football lineup automatically so you never have to worry about last-minute changes. Auto-swap inactive players and ensure your lineup is always optimized, even when you can't be online. By the way, this is especially helpful when we get to the time of year with the London games, especially if you're on the West Coast and there's last-minute inactives. We had an Alvin Kamara scenario like that. Autopilot using managers were saved in that scenario. You can be saved too. Take control with the flexibility to approve lineup changes via email, or just let Autopilot handle everything. Stay ahead with My Playbook Autopilot, available now for Fantasy Pros premium subscribers at fantasypros.com/myplaybook or on the Fantasy Pros app. Try premium for free right now by claiming your 3-day trial of Fantasy Pros premium at fantasypros.com/premium. All right, guys, next game here. We've got Cardinals at Saints. True or false? After this game, we will be happy with the way the Cardinals utilized Marvin Harrison Jr. D-Bro, you can go first.
False. Like, emphatically false.
Emphatic false.
And
okay.
I know that I'm not telling you the Saints are going to be a good team. I'm not telling you this defense is amazing. What I will say is this coverage structure is Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr.'s kryptonite last year. Like, too high, they were both not great against. And a lot of this is much more emphatically laid at the feet of Kyler Murray, but that impacts Marvin Harrison Jr. because if Kyler's not going to play great, because it's really just preventing the deep balls, preventing the off-schedule stuff. Like, New Orleans ran too high at the 8th highest rate. Brandon Staley coming in as their DC is going to keep that in-house. I think they're going to run that back this year. And Marvin Harrison Jr. against too high last year had an 18.6% target share. Nothing has changed in that wide receiver room. Drew Petzing, we're still hoping he learns how to utilize Marvin Harrison Jr. properly. He only had an 18.6% target share against too high and 1.53 yards per route run. So I don't look at this as being a Marvin Harrison Jr. type of game. I look at this as being a monster game for Trey McBride and James Conner.
Fitz?
I'm going to give this one a reluctant true, but it's like 50-50, man. And like, if the Cardinals continue to like foolishly use Marvin Harrison as a vertical receiver, then yeah, like, because too high throttles the vertical receivers. But like, that Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon and offensive coordinator Drew Petzing spent a lot of time in the offseason trying to figure out ways to get Harrison going. Like that is a mandate for this organization. You cannot have another season where the number 4 pick in the draft is putting up Mohamed Sanu numbers.
Woo.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe it wasn't that bad.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. No.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's pretty close.
You get the
Pretty
idea.
close.
Like, it is a priority for that team to jumpstart Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. But on the other hand, like, maybe Harrison is just never going to click with Kyler Murray. Kyler doesn't throw to the middle of the field very often, and that's where Harrison does some of his best work, or at least he did at Ohio State. Just seemed like there was not much chemistry between Kyler and Harrison last year, and maybe that's an ongoing problem.
Steelers at Jets. The total in this game at Hard Rock Bet is 39, which is the lowest of the week by a wide margin, despite the kind of fun double quarterback revenge game narrative. If I force you guys to pick one player in this matchup that you want to be significantly above consensus on, and maybe I'm not forcing you, maybe you do have it ranked this way, I don't know, I didn't actually look, but if you had to pick one to be significantly above consensus on, who would it be, Fitz?
This game is definitely going to be a taffy pull, but there is one guy I like above consensus, Jalen Warren. Like, his week 1 ECR is running back 27, but all indications from Mike Tomlin and from the preseason usage we saw are that Jalen Warren is the clear lead back in Pittsburgh going into week 1. And I don't think rankers have really come to grips with that. So Warren is going to outkick his ECR this week. And it's just like, Debro, I know Caleb Johnson is your guy, but we also know that Arthur Smith, if Arthur Smith can murder the rookie year value of Bijan Robinson, like, he can certainly do it to Caleb Johnson too.
You're not wrong, Fitzy. You're not wrong. I hate it, but you're not wrong.
Well, Debro, what do you think?
I'm going to go further down the list here, and I'm looking at just this matchup on paper, and I think this lines up really well. And I've already bet the over for his receiving yardage prop at Hard Rock Bet. It's at 19.5. You can get minus 115 on this. Mason Taylor, dude.
Okay.
I think Mason Taylor is going to get a ton of targets this week. Let's zoom out a little bit. Just straight up, just common sense talk here. Pittsburgh Steelers freaking pass defense. Do you think Justin Fields needs to be testing or stressing or forcing the ball to Garrett Wilson versus Jalen Ramsey, Joey Porter Jr., or Darius Slay? So regardless of wherever they move Garrett Wilson this week, he's getting a tough corner matchup. And you look at the defensive matchup for this, dude, Pittsburgh gave up the 10th most fantasy points per game and the 11th most receiving yards to tight ends. The way you avoid those corners is you feed Mason Taylor a ton of targets this week. So I'm going with Mason Taylor on this.
It's kind of like a useless one to pick because he's 3% rostered. I think Roman Wilson is going to finish higher than his. I mean, he's wide receiver 86, so like that's not really that.
It's
you're not starting
much.
Roman Wilson when you have this healthy.
He catches
team
one pass and he outkicks that rank.
But
wow,
I'm saying if I had to force myself to pick one, that's somebody, because I just don't want to pick anybody else. When you said you were going further down
to take the
list, that's
layup,
what I expected, yeah, really, really ugly game. Who do you guys think win this one?
Steelers.
I think it's gonna be the Steelers just off their defense. I'm with Fit. I think this game's gonna be a rock fight. I bet the under on the total. It's going to be nasty.
I drafted in leagues where I didn't get the guys, the defenses I really wanted. But, I always take defense after I draft a kicker if I'm in a league with both, because I just know I'm going to stream the defense. Like, that is literally my last pick. I took the Jets in a few places just because they were available. And I think both teams are bad. It's going to be an ugly, low-scoring game in my opinion.
Game.
Steelers are laying 2.
This is like a 14 to 3 kind of game, 14 to 10 kind of game.
I'm looking forward to that game in a perverse sort of way.
Yeah, you're like, it's like the sicko, like we're back, like football is back now. That's
so ugly, it's beautiful.
It should be a Thursday night game. That's how ugly it is.
Oh yes, this feels like a Jaguars Tennessee Thursday night.
It should be an AFC South Thursday.
Do we have to watch this? Like, seriously?
Well, you don't, because thankfully it's on Red Zone, so you don't really have to watch it. Because I'm sure they're not going to show up on Red Zone at all. If you want a chance to win a signed Jamar Chase Bengals jersey for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com. All you need to do is head to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Fantasy Pros app, leave a review for the podcast, or follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We will be announcing a winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. All right, guys, last game in the early slate, Giants at Commanders. How many running backs in this matchup are we willing to start as at least a flex in week one? Because there's a lot of different names that you could throw out here, but none of them are like surefire must-start studs. So I'm curious how many you're at least willing to start in that flex range. D-Bro, you can go first on this one.
I mean, depending, probably nobody. But I think there's two guys that I would roll with depending on it. Like Tyrone Tracy, just because of the volume, although the matchup is horrible for him. I do think that he's going to get, 60% of the work or 60% of the snaps at the gate, considering Cam Scadaboo missed a lot of time with a hamstring injury. So just from a volume perspective, I get it. And I'll run Bill, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out there in some, only because look, like I do not care where he's at on the depth chart. I think it's so hilariously goofy that on social media, the same people that will tweet, "Oh, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is RB3 on the depth chart," but they won't tweet that TreVeyon Henderson was RB4. But they won't tweet that TreVeyon Henderson was RB3 on his respective depth chart because the bags are too packed with TreVeyon Henderson. Oh, that must be garbage, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're talking out both sides of your mouth, man. So I think Bill is going to be the guy that leads the backfield. It gets the goal line carries this week. Maybe that blows up in my face, but I'll flex him in certain leagues where I need it.
Fitz, what do you think for both sides? How many running backs are you willing to consider starting?
I mean, I am starting Tyrone Tracy on a team where I kind of went with a 0 RB build, and I'm starting Austin Eckler on a team in a deep league where you have to start like 3 flex guys. But ideally, you don't have to start any of these guys because it's week 1 and there are no buys, and fantasy teams are pretty healthy for the most part.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's move off that game to the Sunday late slate. Titans at Broncos. We generally loved Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard at cost this season. Even Cam Ward, I felt like was a really interesting later target in Superflex leagues. But it's Ward's first ever game going up against possibly the best defense in the NFL. Some people do have it ranked that way. Should we be looking to sit all 3 of those guys if we can, D-Bro?
Yes, you if you can, you should. Like, Pollard's a volume bet. I understand if you got to roll with him as a flex or an RB2, depending on your builds. I'm not telling you to feel great about it. This game is going to be, again, this is another, I think this game could be quietly like a nasty game. Like, Ridley is going to go into the shadow realm. Patrick Surtain is going to shut him down, dude. Like, Surtain shadowed 7 times last year against a laundry list of who's who in the NFL. Like, DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, George Pickens, DeAndre Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy, and Garrett Wilson. He followed them on 60 to 96% of their routes, and none of those receivers, none of them eclipsed 54 receiving yards in his coverage. So, Calvin Ridley, I'm burying you in ranks this week, sir. Pollard, it's a volume bet only.
Fitz?
I mean, I want to play Pollard. Like, when I rank running backs, I weigh projected volume more than I weigh matchup. And yeah, Denver is a tough matchup with Tyjae Spears on IR, though. Tony Pollard is in for some heavy touch volume this week.
No,
especially,
you're not wrong.
Especially since the Titans are not going to want to let Cam Ward drop back 40 times against that nasty Denver pass rush in his NFL debut. Like, Denver's pass rush is seriously wicked, and they're going to want to run the ball to just counter that. So, yeah, I mean, I might have Ridley ranked too high. I've got him as like a low-end wide receiver 3. Like, Surtain is definitely a matchup to be avoided. But, on the other hand, I could see Ridley getting 8 to 10 targets. Like, I don't think the target efficiency is going to be great, but I think if you're in a pinch, you could play him.
If Ward feeds him 8 to 10 targets, Surtain's picking him off at least once.
I feel like even a guy like Pollard, if he's going to get the volume, I don't think he's going to score a touchdown. Like, I just feel like they're going to put Ward in a blender and there's not going to be any touchdowns scored, or like maybe one fluke one, and I'm not going to bet on any one of these guys to get it. But depending on your build, you might not really have a better option. So it's not like
I mean, it's a decent volume bet, but the
Yeah.
matchup's rough, So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Let's go to game 11, 49ers at Seahawks. Fitz, I'll start with you on this one. With Jauan Jennings back and practicing, are we going to start him right away in week 1? How wide is the gap between Jennings and Pearsall in your week 1 rankings?
So the gap for me, I have Pearsall ranked wide receiver 35, Jennings wide receiver 42. I don't want to play Jennings this week. Like, aside from the layoff and the bad vibes with him and the contract impasse, it's just a really tough matchup. Like, the 49ers are on the road against Seattle, and the Seahawks have a really good pair of cornerbacks in Devon Witherspoon and Reek Woolen.
D-Bro?
I think there's going to be, like, I'm worried about the Seattle defense. I do have a little more faith in the 49ers. Like, I've got Pearsall at wide receiver 25 and Jennings at 29. This is assuming and making assumptions that Jennings is going to play, like, a full-time snap share, which I think the calf stuff was a lot of contract-related stuff because magically he's fully back in practice and stuff. And, this being a wide receiver that he's been in this system for years, so it's not like he's losing a lot of, like, the continuity and things like that with the quarterback and the system and stuff like that. So I think both of them are wide receiver 3s. I don't love the matchup. I will say, like, with the corners, I will say that they quietly did give up the 9th most fantasy points per game to perimeter wide receivers last year. So it's not saying, like, on paper, like, I don't want to challenge Reek Woolen and Josh Jobe on the outside, but this is a 49ers offense. They are going to get volume, and they quietly did, they were had by perimeter wide receivers last year, despite the talent.
We can move off this matchup. I thought it was a weirdly difficult matchup to come up with interesting questions about. I just feel like both teams, like, outside of the Jauan Jennings, like, injury sort of, element, I feel like both teams, it's pretty obvious who you want to start and who is not, you're not interested in starting. I do think, like, both these defenses could actually end up being really good this year, like Salah back in San Francisco. I think the Seahawks could be, like, a top 3 defense this year. Mike McDonald, like, year 2, I'm really bullish on the defense. But the guys that you want to start are pretty clear, I think. So we'll move off this one. Lions at Packers. This would, like, be the game of the week if not for Bills Ravens. So I do want to ask you guys who you think is going to win this game, but we'll end with that. First, I'm going to hit on the fantasy side. We generally ranked the Lions' best players kind of the same way we did when Ben Johnson was in town in terms of the draft rankings. Like, we weren't expecting too deep of a fall off, it felt like, in the expert consensus rankings. But with Johnson gone, do you expect, not from the season-long perspective, but from the week 1 perspective, this offense to maybe take a little while to gel under a new play caller and play designer? Or do you think we should be ranking their guys aggressively, or at least as we would as normal right away in week 1, Fitz?
So for week 1, I'm ranking the Lions running backs pretty normally. Like, I think Detroit will try to get the running game going to keep the Micah Parsons-led Green Bay pass rush from taking over the game. And, to get Micah Parsons, the Packers had to trade away Kenny Clark, their defensive tackle, who was probably their best interior run stuffer the last couple of years. So maybe it's a better game for David Montgomery than some people expect. But I'm ranking all the components of the Detroit passing game pretty conservatively. I think I'm behind ECR on all of Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, and maybe Sam Laporta too.
T-Bro?
I actually think the Lions are going to take to the air in this game. I just look at the Green Bay secondary, and Fitzy, I know we've talked about this on other shows. Like, I don't know what you'd be scared about, like, looking at their secondary, like, outside of the pass rush. And this is making assumptions. Like, I think the Lions, we could talk about their offensive line is not what it was last year. I still think it's good enough. I don't even know if we see, because Parsons is dealing with a back injury. Fitzy, do you think he's going to be a full-time snap player, or do you think he's just going to be on rush downs this week? Like, missing camp, missing training camp, and the back issue? Like, I kind of look at him as being a part-time player out the gate. But how are you reading that?
No, I agree with you on that. I don't think he plays a full complement of snaps.
Yeah, and I think that helps Detroit, but even losing Kenny Clark was not great last year.
No.
Like, his run defense grade, they've dropped. He's actually fallen off the map in the last 4 years from run defense grades. Like, he hasn't crested a 62 grade for PFF in run defense. And I know grades aren't everything, but, like, even, like, all the football heads, like film watchers, will tell you the same thing. Like, Green Bay, outside of Kenny Clark, their run defense was elite last year. Like, they gave up the 3rd fewest rushing yards per game and the 2nd lowest missed tackle rate. So I honestly don't look at losing Kenny Clark as, like, a really big impact as much as some. I think it's going to be a harder game for David Montgomery. I think that Jared Goff and the Lions should come out, test this secondary early, often, and just light it up, dude. Like, I'm not worried about Keyshawn Nixon. I'm not worried about Nate Hobbs. I'm not worried about whoever they're going to run out as the nickel. Like, I'm just not. Like, I think this is a really good spot for Detroit to take to the air. And really, I think this game could shoot out. If it does, Lions are just having their way through the air.
Like I said, probably the game of the week besides Ravens-Bills. Packers are laying 2.5 at home on Hard Rock Bet. Which side are you taking, D-Bro?
I've already bet the Detroit money line. It's plus money. I don't know how we look like. I just don't understand why I get the fact that the Packers are at home, but I don't understand looking at this matchup. I feel like losing the coordinators and all that kind of stuff is really carrying a lot of the debt. Like, for the betting lines and stuff like that. Like, I think the Lions are going to win this, and I think, honestly, they should be favored in this.
Fitz, do you agree? I mean, obviously, you have an emotional attachment to this game.
I do, but over the last 3 years, the Lions are 5-1 against the Packers. Like,
why are the Packers favored in this game, Fitzy?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand.
It's because they're home and the excitement around Parsons.
Yeah,
I think
even at home.
Yeah, I think it should be closer to a pick 'em. Like, Dan Campbell just seems to have Matt LaFleur's number right now. So I too have bet the Lions in this game, although I took the points rather than going money line.
A plus money line for the Lions? I couldn't stay away, man. Couldn't stay away.
Last game in the Sunday late slate is Texans at Rams. How will CJ Stroud and the Texans offense look in their first game with a new play caller and a somewhat different, let's not say improved yet, somewhat different looking offensive line, D-Bro?
I think it's going to look good, man. You look at the Rams secondary, which is pretty much largely intact from what they did last year. And you know, going through all the week one stuff, it's like, okay, what changed in the offseason? Do they get new corners? They get a new DC and all that kind of stuff? The Rams are just kind of running it back, dude. And looking at that, like, we're discussing a pass defense that weeks 10 through 18 last year gave up the 4th highest success rate per dropback, 6th highest EPA per dropback, and the 11th most passing touchdowns. So, like, am I worried about the Rams pass rush? Yeah, to an extent. I'm not very worried about their corners. So I think Stroud's going to look good, man. I think you're going to see a big game from multiple receivers. Now, whether that's Jaden Higgins or, hey, maybe happy birthday to Jalen Noel. Maybe he gets on the field because Christian Kirk is dealing with a hamstring injury. But I think it's going to be a good game for Stroud. I do.
Fitz, what do you think? You I feel like, and maybe this is just anecdotal, I didn't go back and check, but I feel like you have been the analyst that is most kind of like, not faded the Texans, but been just wary of, like, are we sure the offensive line really improved enough to help these guys get to where we want to see them go? How do you feel about it in this first matchup?
Spot on, Worm. I think the Houston offensive line is still a major problem. And, you know, good luck to the Texans trying to keep Jared Verse out of CJ Stroud's face. Like, I don't know how well the Texans are going to be able to run the ball with some combination of Nick Chubb, Dameon Pierce, Woody Marks. Like, the under in Texans Rams is my favorite bet of the week.
Oh,
yeah.
What's the line on that?
It's 43.5, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, not only the offensive line on that side, but, like, the Texans defense should be really good this year. And, you know, Stafford, you know, some degree of back issue here coming into the season. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
That's the worry where I think the under could hit. Like, Stafford takes a big shot in this game and he goes out. Like, I don't want to see that happen, and I'm not projecting injuries. I want to be very, very clear about that.
Right.
I don't feel good about his back, dude.
No, a quarterback who can't move with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter steaming in off the edges.
Dude.
Like, this is going to be, I think this is going to be a really low scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with, like, Tua. Like, nobody wants to see him take another concussion, but, like, you have to think about it in the back of your mind when you're kind of projecting out a game. We're not projecting an injury there. Same thing with Stafford's back. Like, nobody wants to see his back, you know, messed up, and we are not going to project it, but it is a possibility that you have to be aware of, at least. Let's get to Sunday Night Football. Ravens at Bills, possibly the game of the year already here in Week 1. I hate that this game is in Week 1, by the way. This would be a great, like, early November, late October Sunday Night Football game. I don't want this in Week 1, but it's the schedule they came up with. Is there anybody that you guys would actually fade in this one, or is this an obvious, like, start everyone scenario? Bro, I see you nodding your head, so we'll go to you first.
This is a fade a lot of players.
Okay.
And Fitzy's talking about his favorite underbet of the week. I sprinted
Really?
to bet the under at 50.5. Right now it's -110 at Hard Rock Bet. Yeah, like just line all this up, okay? Take the fact that Josh Allen and Lamar are playing in this game, which, by the way, neither one of them played in the freaking preseason. Neither one of these teams ran their starters a bunch in the preseason. We talk about rust and teams coming out rusty in week 1, but we're expecting that this game is going to shoot out with a 50.5 freaking total. And also, we haven't even talked about both of these teams have good, if not, we could talk about elite tier defenses. But yet we think this game is going to be fireworks and shootout potential and all the things and stuff. I'm just not seeing it, man. I think this game's going to hit the under. You look at James Cook, I'm worried about him. The Ravens last year, weeks 10 through 18, gave it the 4th fewest rushing yards per game, 3rd lowest explosive run rate. You talk about Zay Flowers versus too high coverage. Buffalo's going to run a ton of that. They're top 5 in it last year. He had 1.53 yards per route run, 0.068 first downs per route run. Everybody that's not a math head out there, that's not good at all. Khalil Shakir, now he's going to face Marlon Humphrey all freaking game against a secondary that gave up the 11th fewest fantasy points per game to slot receivers. No, I don't think this game is going to put up a ton of points. Maybe I am absolutely wrong on this. There's nothing I look at on paper, and then you want to stack up narratives. 50.5 total just feels like window dressing with the two teams without considering everything else.
Fitz, I'm curious if you agree with Debro about the elite defenses. I see the case for the Ravens, just what they did in the second half of last year, and then adding, Starks and Green with the first 2 picks in the draft. Like, there's a clear case to make for them as an elite defense. I don't really see the case for the Bills. I think they're a fine defense. I'm not saying they're going to be terrible, but I don't know if they're on that same level as Baltimore's defense. The other thing that I would say is, like, I felt like the Bills did a good job of running against the Ravens in the playoff game when they were at home. And the Ravens don't have Michael Pierce anymore, who was a big key to their run defense last year. They didn't really, I think, do a great job of replacing him. I think the defense is still really good, but I do worry about stopping the run against Buffalo. So what do you think? Do you agree with Debra that this is a case where you're actually open to taking the under and fading a lot of the players in this one?
No. I think the Bills defense is probably above average, but elite, I'm not going there. If we could turn back the clock and have this be like prime Joey Bosa and Tre'Davious White instead of 30-something Joey Bosa and Tre'Davious White, maybe. It's a okay defense, above average. I think the Bills are legit Super Bowl contenders for sure. But yeah, I do think the Ravens have, pretty close to an elite defense, though. So in this game, I'm not rushing to get Dalton Kincaid or Rashad Bateman into my lineup, but I think you start all the main characters.
Okay. Debra, what do you think about what I mentioned about, like, Michael Pierce? Because I do think there's a chance that if the Ravens have a weakness this year, it's their run defense.
It could be. I think that, there's something to be for continuity's sake. I think, despite what we saw in the playoffs, like I mentioned, the Ravens' run defense was really stinking good the back half of last year. So, losing Michael Pierce, it's fine. You take him out of elite tier status, which the numbers say they were the back half of last year. Take them out of elite tier status. Okay, they're above average. I think there's a case to be made, but it's also the all remaining continuity on that defense outside of Pierce. There's something to be said for that too.
Yeah. I did want to throw just a second question your way on this one because it's such a big game. Hard Rock Bet has the Ravens -1 in Buffalo. Who wins the game? Either.
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
I think Ravens win. Yep.
Fitz?
Ravens have the best roster in the AFC. Ravens.
Dude, their defense is nasty. Their secondary, you talk about the best starting 3 corners in the NFL, it's Pittsburgh and Baltimore are both up there in that conversation.
I think
tough.
I think Buffalo wins the game. Because they're at home.
You're a self-hating Ravens fan. It's fine.
If they were in Baltimore, I'd pick the Ravens. In Buffalo, I'm picking the Bills. I think these teams are just so good that, I'm just going to give the slight edge to home field advantage.
It's okay. Homer's got a homer.
And the Ravens, too, a lot of people are saying, they're going to come out really angry. They lost, because that's the team who ended their last season. They lost to the Chiefs last year when the Chiefs ended their season before, in week 1. So we just saw this kind of same narrative play out, and they didn't win. It was a really close game. I think this will be a close game. The Ravens are the better roster. I think, maybe even by a wide margin. I think the defense is that much better than Buffalo's that I actually do think the Ravens are clearly the better team.
Well, This is regular season Ravens and not playoff, where Todd Monken gets goofy and decides he's going to throw the ball a crap ton and get away from what they've done the entire year. So if this is in the playoffs, probably agree with you, Worm.
I did
season.
pick Debro on the Thursday show. We do our touchdown calls contest, and I had to pick tight end this week, and I did pick Mark Andrews because I do think if there is a revenge game element,
go to him.
they are going to try to get him a touchdown.
Yeah, you got to believe that they're going to feature the big man.
If there's an opportunity, they will give it to him.
Like, this is one of those kind of games where, like, it's also the playoff implications, things you're doing and stuff like that. You got to kind of get some guys right too, because you're going to see them again later in the year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a huge game. Like I said, I wish it wasn't week 1, but will be a very fun one. Very nerve-wracking Sunday night for me. Let's go to Monday Night Football here to wrap things up. Vikings at Bears. Who has a better week 1? Caleb Williams in his first game under Ben Johnson, or J.J. McCarthy in his first game ever in the NFL? I think we know what direction Debro's going, so I'll go to Fitz first.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say J.J. McCarthy. Like, it's a good bet that J.J. McCarthy is going to play the way Kevin O'Connell wants him to play. And I don't know if we can say the same thing about Caleb Williams. Like, I want to believe that it will work out this year and Caleb makes a year 2 leap. I just worry that he is a chronic improv guy and can't stick to the script, and that Ben Johnson is a guy who wants his actors to follow the script.
Also, the defense is, just going up against the Vikings. I feel like they could, like, given what
Flores, yeah.
I know they've tried to improve. They have improved the offensive line. I think more so than like Houston. I do believe Chicago has improved their offensive line, but I don't know if it's enough against a coordinator and a defense like Flores in Minnesota. So that's a kind of knock against Caleb. Debro, like, we know you're going with McCarthy.
I mean, yeah, but McCarthy's the right answer here too. Like, you look at, and that's really what I want to lean on here. Like, JJ has faced the Brian Flores defense all of camp and the offseason. He's probably not going to do this, but if I was JJ, you just walk up to Caleb and you just shake his hand. You say before the game, good luck. That's all I got for you. Good luck. Because Brian Flores, man, you want to talk about a guy like, we know he's going to heat him up, man. Like, the Minnesota Vikings led the freaking NFL in blitz rate last year. They're probably going to be top 3 to 5 again this year. They were 6th in pressure rate. So you're telling me, like, in a brand new offense, we saw Caleb in the preseason and everybody's oohing and eyeing when he got 2-step drop, ball out, 3-step drop, ball out, and like perfectly wide open wide receivers. You think you're going to see that in week 1, Caleb, versus the Minnesota Vikings defense and what Brian Flores is about to throw at you? Man. So I look at, the secondary for the Vikings. Sure, you can have some questions. That the amount they're going to blitz him and the pressure they can bring can cover up a lot of sins on the back end. And not to say that their secondary isn't still really stinking good. But I think this game, honestly, is probably going to be more of a low-scoring affair. I think they're going to probably try to ease JJ into this game. I think you're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason just based off of how the matchup looks. So I think, fantasy-wise, NFL-wise, JJ is going to outplay Caleb in this game, and I think Caleb could honestly struggle, man. Brian Flores is not going to play around, dude. Like, considering what he did in his rookie season and it being a new offense and stuff like that, all these parts and pieces being brand new, you get him off his mark by blitzing the ever-loving crap out of him, and we know that's going to happen.
Caleb's ranked higher in ECR. He's QB 18. McCarthy's QB 21. So they're both, not starters unless you're in super flex.
I'm not shocked by that at all.
Based on the rankings. Where do you actually we'll wrap up with this. Where do you have them ranked specifically?
I've got Caleb ranked at QB 21. I'm still trying to figure out where JJ is going to be. He's going to be somewhere in that low to mid QB 2 range, only because of the matchup this week, and I like other quarterbacks better. But
Fitz, where do you have them ranked?
14 for Caleb, 20 for McCarthy, but I think McCarthy will play better than that. I just don't expect heavy volume for McCarthy.
All right.
Yeah, I think this game's going to hit the under.
Another under. So a lot of unders this week for you, Debro, it sounds like. All right.
Week 1, baby.
Yeah.
Team's got to get, the preseason is basically non-existent for all these starters nowadays, you know, and so you're going to see low-scoring affairs, not like a lot of like high-scoring games, and that's just how it goes, man, to start the season.
We'll wrap things up there. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We are very back. That was, fun stepping back into the questions and the Friday show, and we've got, obviously, by the time you're listening to this, we will have seen football, so we are like actually back, which is just super fun and exciting. So looking forward to doing the show with you guys all season long. Looking forward to everybody in the comments hanging out with us all season long, and hopefully you enjoy the show. And we have a lot of fun and win some fantasy leagues this year. For Debro and Fitz, I'm Ryan Wormeli. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.